Hi everybody, welcome to Page Turners with Nsuku. I'm so excited today because I'll be reviewing a book by Tara Westover called Educated, which was published in 2018. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so Educated. I read this book on Audible with my sisters earlier this year. And yeah, guys, it's drama. Yes, this book has drama. It's actually a memoir of Tara Westover about growing up, in a devout Mormon family and with very interesting parents, a father, or rather parents who did not believe in the public education system and therefore homeschooled all 7 of their children. And the father was like hectic, paranoid, suspicious of the government, stockpiling for the end of days, Y2K type vibes. So that was also quite a very interesting setup to grow up under. A key sibling as well highlighted is the brother Sean, who is, coming off as being manipulative and physically abusive to Tara, but unfortunately is protected by the parents as well, even beyond, Tara growing up, leaving home and the like. So it's quite an interesting story speaking about identity, getting educated, because Tara eventually leaves home and goes to pursue, studies abroad. I don't want to spoil it, but she, goes further to do her post-grad and the like, and she does this in very reputable universities in both Europe and America. So that's the general story, but it's filled with a lot of interesting incidents because between, the father being very, let's just say, not so safety conscious in his dealings with, the life that they lived in, the junkyard where the kids worked as well, the junkyard where the kids worked, and the brother being abusive. It's just filled with a lot of like accidents, injuries, near-death experiences. Like it's a lot, guys. Like I kept having to remind myself that, okay, this is actually real. Like this is not fiction. This is not made up. Like somebody is saying that they went through this. And of course, I must say, there is a bit of controversy around how exaggerated some of the events are. And also maybe just like if they even happened. So there's a bit of that. And I know the mother also wrote a book called Educating. Haven't read that one, but I'm sure that's her take on it. And apparently it just paints a different picture. But to be honest, this is also the first book for me where the writer is giving, their story, like a first biography, where they actually say, I'm not sure if it happened exactly like this. So there's some instances where she'll say, how I remember it is this and this happened. How my brother remembers it is this and this happened first, and then that happened. So it's very interesting because I always thought, if I was to write a biography about my life, not that it's that interesting to write a biography about, but if I was to write one, I don't know if I would remember a lot of the dialogue or some of the things that happened when I was a kid. I mean, vaguely. I just don't think that I would be able to remember to the degree that I see people recall the stories of their lives in biographies. So I thought that was quite interesting that, on several instances she would say, this is how I remember it and this is how a sibling remembers it. That was interesting. I must warn you though, the story starts off quite slow. Like the story itself starts off a little boring, but because it's so well written, my sisters and I kept reading. We were like, I don't know where this is going. Like, okay, but she just writes so well that you just keep reading and you want to see how it goes, And I think, of course, it's a function of having her introduce the key characters or the key people in her life. And by the time like the family, then it gets lit. It gets so lit. Like, actually, it's not funny because some of the things that happen there, I'm sitting there like, for real? Like, for real? And as much as you read it and you can't necessarily relate to some of the things that she went through, I think we can all relate to the fact that we also have families that have drama, that have interesting characters. There are certain things that we went through as kids that we were like, yo, guys, but this has scarred me for life, or this has an impact on who I am now. And there's certain things we're grateful for that our parents exposed us to or didn't expose us to. So I think it's not necessarily like you're going to be like, oh my gosh, me too. Oh my gosh, me too. This happened to me. But I think that's not the point of biographies necessarily. It's also to just get exposure to different people's experiences, but to also learn and to also be like, wow, okay, I wouldn't do that, or I would do that. But I must say, like, it's such a well-written book that I think it's enjoyable to read, honestly. Even the accidents, even the things that happened, you were just like, you were so drawn into them. I remember there was a time in the book where every time at the mention of that specific brother's name, Sean, I would be like, oh my gosh, what's about to happen now? Oh gosh, who's getting hurt? Oh no, like I could actually feel it. So it was quite the emotional roller coaster. So I must say that I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend it. I tried not to get too sucked into, the controversy and other people's, critiques on it in terms of the accuracy of it and the like. And I'm probably still, maybe I might look into that. But I think as a book itself, as the journey of reading it, it's just such an awesome book to read. It really is. It's just awesome. Like, yeah. So I think that's my review of Educated. Well written, thought provoking, insightful, makes you wonder as well, like your exposure to education, how has it affected you? I know for me, the one thing I could relate to her with was when she was in Europe, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is how I felt when I went to Oxford. I was feeling very out of place. I had hectic imposter syndrome and just feeling so small and having to overcome that. And then eventually having such an amazing experience that by the time you come home, you feel that you've changed. And that's what exposure does to us. It changes us. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. Sometimes it makes us even feel out of place in places that we were previously comfortable in. And so I found that to be quite interesting, quite personal to me at least, and having to readjust after that kind of exposure. So yeah, guys, read it. It's awesome. Yes. And also, because I'm also a proponent of education, I would say it's definitely one that kind of encourages you to read, to go and pursue further studies. Because I was also thinking like, do I pursue my studies post grad all the way to the end? And it just kind of encouraged me to research, to go back to research as well. So that's my personal take on it in terms of how it affected me. How it affects you might be different. So please, 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 please let me know how you found the book once you've read it. And also, what are your initial thoughts about it? Would you buy it? Would you not? But my recommendation is yes, get it. Anyway, thank you. This has been my book review of Educated by Tara Westover. And I will definitely be back with another book review. I'm reading Transcendent Kingdom currently by Gyasi. I think I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's also a very interesting one, starting off really slow, but I am very patient with these books that start off slow because sometimes they actually build up to be very, very impactful. So yeah. Anyway, for more book reviews, book hauls, and just learning about my reading journey, please do subscribe, and I will be seeing you very soon. Bye.